I have a lot of memories of where we lived on Tapscott Street in Whitechapel, which was behind the Whitechapel Church. The street itself was a dead end, but if you can picture a T for the street, as you come into the street, the left side of the T was there, but there was no right side of the T. And the street itself was cobblestones, and we lived at the very end, and the number of the street was 18. And my early memories of playing and parties, and my next door neighbor, who was my best friend, he was Billy. His father used to turn the water on and off for the London Water Department. My father was involved with fabric and people who manufactured ladies' garments. My father's mother lived with us. She had come over from Poland when my grandfather died, and that was when I was a baby. So my father brought her over in the end of 1926 or the beginning of 1927, and I was an infant. And my mother was involved with the workshop, and my grandmother became my principal caregiver in a sense. And we used to do a lot of things together. I love my grandmother, and one of my lovely stories I like to tell is that every week at the weekend, my grandmother used to bake bread, challah, and she would have her dough, and she would give me a little bit, and I would stand there side by side with my grandmother, and she would knead and fashion her dough into a bread, and I would try to emulate her. My piece always got dirty, and hers always looked nice and fresh and clean. And one time when my grandmother left me alone with her bread dough, etc., I took her bread dough and started to play with it instead of mine. And pretty soon I realized that the thing was dirty. It became very dirty for me, and I got scared. So I hid under the bed in my bedroom. Like 1 or 2 in the morning, the whole neighborhood, including the police, were looking for me while I was hiding under the bed. Eventually, somebody had the idea to look under the bed and found me, and that was, my mother always liked to tell that story. Another time she said she had premonition. She had a premonition that she was shopping and my father was there taking care of me. And on her way back, she said she had this premonition that my father wasn't doing his job, and she said she started to run to the house and quite a distance. What had happened was my father fell asleep, and on the sofa next to me was my mother's apron, and in the apron was a box of matches, and I had taken out the matches, and I'd already lit one of the matches, and her apron was starting to flicker a little bit from the match, but my father was sleeping happily until my mother raced into the room from her premonition and put out the fire. So she always berated my father for not doing his job.